when you addressed that, you talked about the process development lessons that being learned from more traditional biologics. And I think the last time you and I chatted, you had mentioned that there's often a gap in early stage processes coming out of academia needing to be sort of redeveloped when they make clinical progress, much less commercialization progress. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, how has Landmark contributed to the academic exercise of moving from academia to a commercially viable business? And is that driven by industry, or is academia driving that as well? Sort of what's the lay of the land there?
Yeah, what we have seen in this field in the past 20 years, particularly in cell and gene therapies, the innovations almost exclusively always started in academic centers or small biotech companies where the science drive, how the products being developed and made, but not a lot of considerations. If you have to make the products not only for one patient, two patients, but hundreds, thousands, millions of patients. So what we have seen, a lot of early cell and gene therapy products are based on laboratory protocols that could work, for a fewer number of patients, but it does not drive consistency and robustness, and that will lead to some repeated work later on. So what we have seen is that some early phase clinical trials conducted at an academic setting. When the proof of concept, the clinical results is outstanding, but the process is not robust enough and is not suitable for larger clinical trials or commercialization. What it ends up to be is that you repeat those clinical trials. And that is a lot of waste.
A lot of money.
A lot of money and a lot of time, right? Yeah. So what we do is that we work with the principal investigators from academia or the startup companies. We help them to understand what is the ultimate goal for the development is to bring this drug to market. And in order to that and to do that, we need to make sure that the processes of manufacturing the products is robust and can deliver reliable, a consistent product quality. So with that end in mind, to design the manufacturing processes, the materials, and to source the materials, the starting materials for the manufacturing processes. In the early days, so that you get some kind of a standardization to make the process more suitable for commercial use, less changes that you have to make later on. That will reduce some of the kind of a wasted work.
Our friends at Alston & Bird set us up with some amazing space to record during JPM week. The firm's national healthcare and life sciences practice has more than 100 attorneys actively involved in the healthcare industry across the full spectrum of legal disciplines. The signature strength of this practice is its ability to master complex representations that draw on the coordinated expertise of its regulatory, compliance, public policy, transactional, corporate governance, securities, FDA, biotech, IP, government investigations, and litigation practice areas. Alston & Bird represents life sciences companies and their partners in corporate stages, ranging from private to newly public to well-established, and in a variety of stages of product development from preclinical to post-approval commercial launch. Learn more at alston.com and tell them you learned about them on the business of biotech.
Is that something you would characterize, I guess, as kind of Landmark Bio's sweet spot, being able to take a process in academia or a process in a small startup and help to standardize it and make it into something that could be scaled commercially? Is that, do you see that as your kind of primary aim?
It's definitely one of the unique feature for Landmark Bio and the competitive advantage for us as well. I probably mentioned a little bit earlier. We were in this space, provide CMC services to a lot of our partners. The people that we build most of them are from drug development companies. So this is an organization built by drug developers for drug developers. So we understand what it's really gonna take to develop the processes, develop the product, and get to the market. It definitely help our clients and our partners to minimize some of the, I would say, the pitfalls and the unfortunate errors that many others made in the early days.
Yeah.
Do the challenges faced by a cell or gene startup vary a lot, or are there some key challenges that you mentioned? For example, non-viral vector delivery as something that I think you're working toward, and it also represents a hurdle for the sector. Are there other areas that are continue to be challenges that that developers and Landmark Bio are working to overcome?
There are a lot of challenges. First of all, cell and gene therapies are such a broad category. We tend to lump them together, but cell and gene therapies, including cell therapies, including gene-modified cell therapies, viral vectors. So there are some unique aspects of the challenges. It depends on the different specific modalities. For example, when we talked about the viral vector in the AAV space, the tighter the purity, definitely is one of the challenges from the CMC perspective. But from efficacy perspective, the capsid and the design of the capsid, there are a lot of unique challenges. We're certainly not doing everything to address all the challenges over there, and we want to focus on the things that we believe that can move the needle.
Yeah.
For example, we think cell therapy is gonna stay. There are already blockbuster autologous cell therapies are there. If we can make those therapies better, and if we can manufacture them faster and cheaper, that will allow patients or provide better access to patients, just at least from manufacturing perspective. That's really our approach. We're very optimistic in the non-viral gene delivery space because we truly believe if we can turn the complex product into relatively simpler product, easier to manufacture, easier to deliver, that will really change the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're in an interesting space because in many ways you have a firsthand look at not just innovation, but business volume, right? And I've had a couple of conversations today with cell and gene therapy leaders who talk about sort of the ebb and flow of the economic interest, the finance community's interest in gene therapy, I guess more specifically. What's your take on that from your perspective? Given that you see the innovation firsthand, you see the volume of interest in manufacturing services firsthand. Mm-hmm. Do you have a good feeling heading into 25 that business will be robust on the innovation and funding scale, or is there any cause for concern?
I am a firm believer of cell and gene therapies and the transformative potentials this class of therapies can bring to patients. And it's already beyond the proof of the concept. Beyond the proof of concept, the challenges we're facing is from business perspective. Is that yes, we have seen the benefit on patients, but we want to see more patients being benefit by this new class of medicine. Look, the innovation has no value if it does not reach to patients.
Yeah.
I think that's really the fundamental challenges over there. Right now, we want this class of therapies to be able to reach broader patient population. And in order to that, there are some technological hurdles and we have to overcome. But I think the science is proven and is validated in human. We know it works, and we know it has curative, transformative potential, and it's on us to make this work.
Yeah. It's interesting to me too. Like you said, the cell and gene therapies is a sort of a basket term for a whole bunch of different approaches. How does a company like Landmark ensure that you have the expertise, not just the capacity, but the expertise to stay on top of all this stuff?
Yeah. We set up our business to have quite a broad capabilities. So we're not just focusing on cell therapies or gene therapies. So we have capabilities in cell, gene, and messenger RNA for a couple of reasons. One reason is we think this field is still early and the winners are yet to emerge, and we have seen the field moving from ex vivo to in vivo because we think that's where the field is going. But we need to start in ex vivo, and we want to capture the current opportunities, but still with eye towards the future. And that's how we set up. And there are a lot of spaces, a lot of areas we can innovate, and we definitely not try to do everything. And as I mentioned that some places that we try to innovate as for example, non-viral gene delivery, we think that's the area that we should focus on because it addresses the underlying issues for cell and gene therapy. You got to be able to deliver the genetic material to the right cells. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
What kind of delivery, what sort of delivery materials, I guess, are leading the charge in that area to get away from viral vectors?
So we are looking into nanoparticle technologies. Lipid nanoparticle is one aspect. We also have other non-lipid nanoparticles.
Is that does the innovation there in terms of delivery vehicles tend to happen from within, or is it largely influenced by the developers that you're working with? Innovation coming from the sponsor community?
Well, we have seen both, but in that space, I think we see the opportunities that the sponsors would rely on their partners to bring the technologies. Mm-hmm. What we have seen more and more is that sponsors focusing on what inside of the particle, what inside that encapsulation,
right?
Which is the design of the RNA, the design of the DNA, and what the capabilities we bring in is more of how we could take those DNA or RNA or oligos and package them in a way that they can get to the right cells and the right tissues.
Yeah. Do you have you noticed any particular energy being devoted to developing delivery technologies that seek targets that are in places that were difficult or impossible to get to before, like the blood-brain barrier, different organs. Is there a sort of a movement afoot there? Or?
Yeah, people try to deliver the targeted genes to muscles, to different cell types, because the current technologies, if you give the current lipid nanoparticle technology, formulations, most of them go to the liver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lung is another space where I see a lot of development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have a sense of the broad, I guess, cell and gene sector and how much it collaborates? I'm thinking of 25 years ago with monoclonal antibodies. I think there were some companies at a kind of pre-commercial basis that would share knowledge and work together to try to bring that functionality forward. Is there a similar effort in cell and gene that you're aware of? I mean, is Landmark Bio working as a convener of sorts between different companies and helping to fill those gaps?
Yeah, we're part of the NIMBLE, which is a consortium. They have a lot of initiatives in cell and gene therapy space. A lot of work being done in the AAV space. It's a pretty competitive space where people can share knowledge and experience.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you most excited about in terms of the cell and gene space? You talked about your excitement for the transformative, opportunity, right? The patient opportunity in cell and gene leading you to Landmark. Now you've been there for 4 years, looking ahead, another 4 years perhaps, or even a year. What are you most excited about?
The opportunities ahead of us. I'm very excited about the opportunities in the front of us where we can really make a difference. It took about 10 years to have a blockbuster of monoclonal antibodies early days. Mm-hmm. And we already have a few blockbusters of cell and gene therapy on the market and start benefiting patients, and that is very exciting for us. And also the amount of innovation in this space, what we have seen is unprecedented. That is something that we're very excited about.
Yeah.
What are your goals for JP Morgan, if you have any that are specific to this conference?
My goal for JPM Week is really to connect with the industry peers, the colleagues, potential partners, and collaborators, exchange ideas, explore collaboration opportunities, and really discuss the trend where we're going as an industry, as a sector. It's a very exciting week.
Yeah. Where did you come in from? Are you right? Are you in the San Francisco area?
No, I am based in Boston, but I also have a house in Southern California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I actually came from the LA area.
Okay, yeah. Well, this episode will drop more than likely in February, sometime in February, so a few weeks from now. But as we sit right now, things aren't looking that great in LA. I'm hoping that everything's okay where in your neighborhood?
Yeah, everything is okay in my neighborhood. We're fortunate, but it's very challenging time.
I'm sure, yeah. Well, safe travels, and thank you for spending, like I said, some of your very busy week with the business of biotech. I appreciate you coming on the show, and it's great to get insight. Great to get insight from a leader in the cell and gene manufacturing space, given all the questions and challenges that are ahead. So we appreciate it.